Good evening from San Ignacio Town. With the 9 o'clock news, I am Patrick Jones. In the headlines, Belize sends diplomatic protest note to Guatemala. Health Minister returns from visit to El Salvador, and a burglary is reported in Dangriga Town. Stay tuned for details of these and other stories coming up after these messages.
The Belize Tire Depot, your one-stop destination. What you will find is a first-class selection of solid, dependable, quality products from the names you can trust. We carry a full line of urea and SureTech tools and equipment to meet every need, from light maintenance around the house to heavy-duty fieldwork. Our tire workshop features the full array of Pirelli, Nexen, and Nankang tires for every vehicle and any terrain. Our trained technicians' number one priority is to ensure you and your family's safety and security on the road. It's all here at the Belize Tire Depot. From reliable equipment, world-class time-tested tires, to sturdy, durable tools. Merchandise that's built to last with quality guaranteed.
Are you always on the go? Tired of missing your favorite games while they're actually being played? Watch your games and sporting events live with Central TV and Internet's incredible MyTV. Simply log on to www.mitv.bz to get easy access to 25 channels, no matter where you are. With Central TV and Internet's MyTV, you're always in the game.
More vehicle owners are switching to the PureGuard line of motor oils, and with good reason. PureGuard comes in different grades and specifications. It carries the API certification and comes with the Westrac stamp of approval, guaranteed to make your engine run cleaner and longer, up to 10,000 miles. With PureGuard motor oil, your engine will have less wear and tear, give you maximum performance on the road, and give your vehicle better fuel mileage.
PureGuard, good quality, affordable oil.
Distributed exclusively by Westrac Limited, with branches in Spanish Lookout, Belmopan, Belize City, and Orange Walk Town.
Correction, dude. You broke. I just threw the ball.
This is really bad. What are we gonna do?
We?
Go to the door, ask for the ball back. Are you serious?
It's my ball, Myrtleback.
You're so dead.
I'd run away.
Yeah, to Uruguay.
Kiss your life goodbye. Sorry.
Let's go. See ya. You never mean you're well.
Nice life. Some friends you are.
Hi. Tell him it was an accident. And we can fix the window. Come on. I'll come with you.
Loyalty. Pass it on.
You go first.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Here now is the news in details. Prime Minister Dean Barrow today hosted a press conference in Belize City to address the fallout from Sunday's excursion to Sarstoon Island by the Belize Territorial Volunteers. As we have reported previously, the group of over 100 Belizeans was intercepted in Belize's territorial waters by the Guatemalan military. Today, the Prime Minister says that based on a report from the OAS observer who was on the expedition, he is of the belief that the Guatemalan military did aggress the Belizeans inside of our territorial waters.
4 of the territorial volunteer boats made it through to the Sarstoon Island and circled that island. They entered the river, the Sarstoon River, by the North Channel and exited by the South Channel. At least one other bigger boat was prevented by the Guatemalan Navy from attempting to do the same thing as the 4 smaller boats did. The question that at once arises is whether those 4 boats that transited the 2 channels at any point went over into what we consider the Guatemalan side of the river, and whether at any point the Guatemalan Navy came over into our Belizean side of the river. The OAS reports that even the 4 small Belizean boats were at first intercepted by the Guatemalans before they were able to proceed towards the island. And both that temporary interception of the small boats and the permanent interception of the bigger boat took place, as I understand Ms. Telemas, at what she describes as the mouth of the Sarstoon River. It is my belief that what the OAS calls the mouth of the Sarstoon River is clearly in Belizean waters. And that the Guatemalan Navy committed an incursion when they intercepted our boats at that spot. The territorial volunteers and the Belizean media confirm the fact of this incursion, and General Jones and Admiral Borland, after viewing video footage, fully concur. Now, whether our 4 volunteer boats also went into Guatemala during the course of entering, circling, and exiting the area of the island must remain unanswered for now. The volunteers say no, and the OAS doesn't say yes. But regardless of what may later be established on that score, the Guatemalan incursion certainly happened first.
And it is because of that military aggression by Guatemala that the Prime Minister says that he has dispatched a diplomatic note to Guatemala City.
An extremely strong protest note has therefore been prepared by our Ministry of Foreign Affairs and was approved just now by the NSC for immediate dispatch to the Guatemalan Foreign Ministry with a copy to the OAS. Of course, several things arise from all this, including whether our military should have been present and acting as armed escort to the territorial volunteers, and whether, since there is talk of another civilian visit to the Sarstoon Island, government would alter its position and involve the BDF and the Coast Guard in any such second effort. I say right off that the answer to both questions is an unqualified no.
Prime Minister Barrow says that Belize maintains sovereignty over the Sarstoon Island as set out in the Boundary Treaty and appeals to members of the territorial volunteers and other civilians to stay clear of the area given prevailing circumstances.
Guatemala claims the River Sarstoon not in the same way as it claims other portions of our country. Their position is that what we know to be Belize never included the Sarstoon River, and that our border in that area stopped at the bank of the river on the Belize side. So the entire Sarstoon was always, they argue, part of Guatemalan territory and recognized as belonging to them. We consider that to be completely wrong and against both history and geography. We therefore unequivocally maintain that the boundary between the two countries is the mid-channel of the Saar-Stoon River, so acknowledged from time immemorial and stated in the 1859 treaty. And we accordingly continue to declare that we are sovereign over our half of the Saar-Stoon River. We say this, we mean this, we will never change this. And as it is with the Saar-Stoon, so it is with all of Belize. This territory is ours, the entire 8,867 square miles of it. And our sovereignty over our country, which not only our military, but ultimately all of us are prepared to defend to the death, is unalterable, unshakable, immovable.
The Prime Minister stated unequivocally that there is no sovereignty vacuum in the area of the Saar-Stoon, but stressed that it is advisable to leave the military to do its work of enforcing Belize's sovereignty instead of inserting civilians into the mix who can cause an unintended international incident.
In the circumstances, for anyone to claim that there is a sovereignty vacuum regarding our half of the Saar-Stoon River, or that our troops are anything less than resolute and courageous in maintaining our sovereignty, does an intolerable disservice to the brave men and women of the Belize Defense Force and the Belize Coast Guard. So the fact is that our security forces protect and defend our Saar-Stoon River sovereignty on a continuing basis, operationally demonstrated every Tuesday of every week of every year without fail. But arising no doubt from a lack of information and a great deal of misunderstanding, the territorial volunteers came to the opposite and patently wrong conclusion. Then, proceeding from this mistaken premise, they decided to show that they could fill what in reality was a non-existent void. That they should assert a sovereignty that, albeit seemingly unknown to them, was already being asserted by those both charged with and capable of doing the job, our Belizean military. That is how, as I see it, ladies and gentlemen, last Sunday's expedition came about.
And while that may sound like a diplomatic put-down of the Belize territorial volunteers, the Prime Minister says that he applauds their patriotism. But at the same time, Mr. Barrow says there is no need for a provocation from Belize.
Theirs was an incomplete grasp of the facts, a situation for which perhaps government is at least partly to blame. As a result, their actions, though well intended, were wrong. For it cannot be right to insert any Belizean, but especially children, into a situation so fraught with danger. Danger arising both from the presence of the Guatemalan Navy and from other conditions including overcrowded expedition boats. In the end, those boats were taking on water and some frantic bailing had to be done. This is especially the case because the territorial volunteers' purpose-driven visit, their course of action, was entirely unnecessary to make a point that our security forces make every week. In all the circumstances, therefore, we remain convinced that government was right in withholding military accompaniment from the volunteers.
On Tuesday, the opposition People's United Party hosted a press conference in Belize City where they discussed Sunday's incident at the Sarstoon Island and, among other things, called on the government to send a protest to Guatemala over that country's military incursion into Belize's territorial waters to confront the Belizeans. Also on Tuesday, the PUP leader, Francis Fonseca, made a statement on the issue of local banks losing their corresponding banking arrangements with the Bank of America. Fonseca called the current situation a crisis and says that it needs proper attention from government because it could have a bad impact on the country's economy.
Moreover, apart from facilitating the offshore services sector in Belize, funds that ended up in the Belize offshore banks played a key role in tourism investment in Belize. It has also played a key role in financing citrus, financing shrimp, major export industries in Belize, among others. This will all now dry up, thereby negatively affecting these key industries in our economy. And this will mean reduced investment in these industries and most certainly loss of jobs. And the loss of correspondent banks by domestic banks, this is critically important, can have an even more severe adverse impact on our economy. We know that First Caribbean International Bank is gone. They are gone. Ordinary everyday transactions may be impaired, if not curtailed. Just the purchase of consumer items from abroad, like imported food, or imported electricity, or imported fuel, not to mention capital items like steel, cement, and equipment, will become difficult. Nowhere, as you all know very well, nowhere other than in Belize is the Belize dollar accepted. We can't pay for imported goods and services with Belize dollars. We need hard currency to buy these things with. We need US dollars. And even if we have US dollars in this day and age, especially, we can't pay any supplier with cash, even if we could safely transport this cash. They wouldn't accept it because of all of the rules on money laundering. Nobody accepts cash nowadays. There is also almost a presumption of illegality if you try to pay with cash.
Fonseca says that in order to pay for imports, domestic banks need correspondent banking arrangements in place to be able to move large sums of cash. The PUP leader says that Belize is not a risky place to do business, and the government of Prime Minister Dean Barrow should do more to make that known to the international banking sector.
My fellow Belizeans, we cannot allow our domestic banks to lose their correspondent banking relationships with the US. And we cannot concede, as this government appears to have conceded, and this central bank we have now, that we have to live with this situation like we live with hurricanes. That is absolute nonsense. Belize is not a risky place to do business with. The banks in Belize are not risky to do business with. What we have to do, and what the government's obligation to do, and what the central bank's obligation to do, which they're not doing, is to convince the United States and other developed jurisdictions, other developed nations who are blacklisting us, that Belize is not risky. If they agree we are not risky, then there is no de-risking to be done. It is as simple as that. And that is where our government has been falling down and failing. So we can't stand idly by and do nothing, as we seem to have been doing so far, relative to what other jurisdictions have been doing, very aggressively tackling this issue. The central bank has been leading the efforts in their jurisdictions to address this matter, to meet on a consistent and continuous basis with other countries to try and resolve this matter. This is a very, very, very serious matter.
So far, 2 local banks have lost their correspondent banking arrangements with Bank of America. You're watching the 9 o'clock news. We will have more of the day's stories for you right after these messages. More vehicle owners are switching to the PureGuard line of motor oils, and with good reason. PureGuard comes in different grades and specifications. It carries the API certification and comes with the Westrac stamp of approval, guaranteed to make your engine run cleaner and longer, up to 10,000 miles. With PureGuard motor oil, your engine will have less wear and tear, give you maximum performance on the road, and give your vehicle better fuel mileage.
PureGuard, good quality, affordable oil.
Distributed exclusively by Westrac Limited, with branches in Spanish Lookout, Belmopan, Belize City, and Orange Walk Town.
Are you always on the go? Tired of missing your favorite games while they're actually being played? Watch your games and sporting events live with Central TV and Internet's incredible MyTV. Simply log on to www.mitv.bz to get easy access to 25 channels, no matter where you are. With Central TV and Internet's MyTV, you're always in the game.
You too can ride off into the sunset. Milon motorbikes are very affordable. There's a high availability for parts and a wide selection of models to choose from. My Milon, my bike. Available countrywide.
Looking in your eyes, I see a paradise. This world that I found is too good to be true. Standing here beside you, want so much to give you this love in my heart that I'm feeling for you.
Let them say we're crazy, I don't care about that. Put your hand in my hand, baby, don't ever look back. Let the world around us just fall apart. Baby, we can make it if we're heart to heart. And we can build this dream together, standing strong forever. Nothing's gonna stop us now. And if this world runs out of lovers, we'll still have each other. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us now.
Welcome back to the 9 o'clock news. The government of El Salvador has offered to provide free medical care for Belizeans later this month. Belizean doctors also stand to benefit from scholarships in various medical specialty areas. These developments arose out of a recent working visit to San Salvador by Minister of Health Pablo Marin. The 3-day visit late last week was at the invitation of El Salvador's Minister of Health, Dr. Elvia Violeta Menjivar. According to an official release, the free medical care to be offered by a medical team from El Salvador will take place at the end of this month. Also, a total of 21 scholarships were offered in various medical specialty areas to Belizean doctors. The government press release says that Minister Marin also held discussions with Dr. Jose Vicente Cotto, Director of the National Drug Regulatory Authority, about the progress and benefits that will come from El Salvador's national laboratory. They are working on becoming the first certified lab for drug testing in Central America. Technical advice was also offered in the area of drug regulations, particularly in the continued development of Belize's official drug registry. Police in Dangriga town are investigating a burglary. A 52-year-old businessman reported that between the close of business on Monday night and 7 o'clock on Tuesday morning, the establishment situated on St. Vincent Street was burglarized. The thief or thieves made off with assorted electrical appliances, all with a total value of $7,710. Police investigations continue. The news on the National Channel.
More vehicle owners are switching to the PureGuard line of motor oils, and with good reason. PureGuard comes in different grades and specifications. It carries the API certification and comes with the Westrac stamp of approval, guaranteed to make your engine run cleaner and longer, up to 10,000 miles. With PureGuard motor oil, your engine will have less wear and tear, give you maximum performance on the road, and give your vehicle better fuel mileage.
PureGuard, good quality, affordable oil.
Distributed exclusively by Westrac Limited, with branches in Spanish Lookout, Belmopan, Belize City, and Orange Walk Town.
Are you always on the go? Tired of missing your favorite games while they're actually being played? Watch your games and sporting events live with Central TV and Internet's incredible MyTV. Simply log on to www.mitv.bz to get easy access to 25 channels, no matter where you are. With Central TV and Internet's MyTV, you're always in the game.
You too can ride off into the sunset. Milon motorbikes are very affordable. There's a high availability for parts and a wide selection of models to choose from. My Milon, my bike. Available countrywide.
Warm and mostly dry conditions will continue to influence our weather heading into the weekend. The general forecast for Belize and her coastal waters is for partly cloudy skies tonight. There is a chance of an isolated shower or thunderstorm, but mainly in the south. Winds over the open sea and along the coast will be easterly to southeasterly at 10 to 20 knots. The sea state will be choppy to moderate. Low temperatures tonight will be around 82 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 75 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 70 degrees Fahrenheit up in the hills. High temperatures on Thursday will range from 89 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast to 97 degrees Fahrenheit inland. It will be a warm 82 degrees Fahrenheit up at the higher elevations. The tides. There will be a high tide at 3 minutes past 1 o'clock in the morning. The sun will rise at 24 minutes to 6 o'clock in the morning. It will set at 16 minutes past 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. The extended forecast, valid through to Friday afternoon, is for mainly fair and warm conditions, with a chance of only isolated showers or thunderstorms developing inland or in the south. And that is a look at the weather with information provided by forecaster Derek Rudon at the Belize Weather Bureau. Tropical storm Danny continues to track towards the eastern Caribbean. Here is the tropical update.
Well, look at this. We've got a tropical storm in the Atlantic right now. It's pretty far in the East Atlantic. This thing's almost 3,000 miles away from the lower 48, so we're not going to worry about the lower 48 right now. But say hello to Tropical Storm Danny. This was just a wave that came off the west coast of Africa a couple of days ago. We've been watching it closely. It became a tropical depression yesterday, and now it is a tropical storm. And actually expected to become a hurricane in the next couple of days. Check out the forecast cone for this one, all right? So if you live in the Leeward Islands or the Lesser Antilles, even the Greater Antilles, coming up here by early on next week. You can see how slowly it's going to move. You still got to watch out, okay? There's a good chance you'll be directly affected by this. It'll likely be a hurricane by Thursday.
To end the news, here are the headlines again. Belize sends diplomatic protest note to Guatemala. Health Minister returns from visit to El Salvador, and a burglary is reported in Dangriga town. With the headlines, we end this edition of the 9 o'clock news. Thank you for joining us. I am Patrick Jones. Have a good evening and a good night.